Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Cardboard Cast. We are now back with top four, Masters top four. This is going to be between Arthur and Patrik. So just kind of summarizing who advanced in top four really quickly. We have Patrik and Arthur here, obviously, and then Owen, who we just saw in the last game, and then Consta playing Mew VMAX, Fusion Mew VMAX. That was off stream. So we'll see whoever advances from the match between Owen and Consta in the next round. And whoever advances here is going to the finals. So Arthur is playing the Turbo Lost Box. We did see that earlier. Fortunately, we have Vic here, our Turbo Lost Box master. And then we got Patrik, I believe, playing Colorless Lugia. So, Vic, how you feeling? You ready?
I am ready. I'm not looking forward to seeing Lugia. I'm not a Lugia fan. I can't stand to see a fellow Lost Box enjoyer getting beat down by Lugia. But there's a Spiritomb in the deck, so maybe
there is a Spiritomb. And Spiritomb does shut down Colorless especially hard, potentially, depending on what they're playing and what they're trying to attack with. But let's go ahead and get into the game, and we'll talk a lot about the matchup as we do that. So, there we go. Oh, Vic was muted again. I thought I clicked it. I'm sorry, Vic.
Oh, man.
I swear I literally clicked it, but I clicked when I looked away, so I missed it. But basically, Vic was saying feels bad watching Lost Box play against Lugia because it's rough. But Spiritomb is in the deck, so there's hope.
Unfortunately, though, there's 2 VIP Comp Foss in the prizes for Arthur. So unless he finds one of the other 2, could potentially be a slow start. Not exactly what you want to see against Colorless Lugia, one of your harder matchups.
For sure. Yeah, Spiritomb does shut down a lot of the random attackers, like Drapion V and Weirdeer. But those are basically, you don't see them anyway in this matchup, pretty much, outside of, niche situations where it's the only way they can take a KO on, Dragonite, I guess, is, the main one. Did we just see the prizes for Lugia?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were 2 Lugia V-Star prize, which is a little bit scary, but definitely not nearly as bad as 3 being prized.
Right.
Unless Patrik has to research a Lugia V-Star away before seeing the deck or something like that.
We
do see the Spiritomb start.
That's nice, because now they can't even preemptively play Minion.
No preemptive Burnett's being grabbed in this game.
Yeah, pretty nice. I wonder if Arthur had anything else to lead with and just chose to open that. No, that was just the forced opener.
I do think even if Arthur had Comfy, you would just bench both, right? You just
bench
Comfy, it. Yeah. Put Spiritomb on the bench. But Arthur starting the tomb, that is good, but there's no VIP pass in hand, and 2 of them are in the prizes, so it's gonna be tough. Normally, one of your best win conditions as Lost Box is to knock out Lone Lugia, get that turn 1 Raikou going. Probably not gonna happen though.
Yeah, I believe does have Colorless in hand at least, so hopefully something happens. And there's the Ultra Ball double Archeops, the fabled, the legendary. Oh geez, this is looking at just kind of Patrik thumbing through the deck. This seems very similar to the build that won Sacramento Regionals. We saw the Luxray there. We see the normal Weirdeer Mew EX. Not looking like any Radiance, which again very normal from
this
what
guy
we saw
is
there.
Blinging out.
These are the expensive
Lugias.
Oh my gosh, this might be full bling.
And there were the ones in the Lugia V stars in the prizes were golden Lugia V stars, but I didn't see a Lugia V-Star in deck. It's gotta be there, right? They've got to play 3, probably.
Got it, yeah.
Hopefully.
So there's the pass. Snorlax coming down. That message goes ahead, being pretty nice to allow that double Archeops discard. Arthur now making sure the pen and paper are out.
It's something really annoying about this matchup is that Colorless Lugia has started to tend towards 3 Snorlax, which is just too many Snorlax for Lost Box to deal with, unfortunately. I think I actually played against a Colorless Lugia back in NAIC before Mew EX had come out, and I was able to win that one because they didn't have a great way to deal with Dragonite. You had to Wordier, you had to have a lot of energy in play, you had to be able to get that going at the right time. But now with Mew EX being live, you can't really Dragonite your way through 2 Snorlaxes the same way anymore. You can get through one, and then your Dragonite's gonna get revenge KO'd by a Mew EX.
We do trying to go for the Messagoza, failed it unfortunately, so no free Pokemon there.
Arthur did need that pretty badly, I think.
Did at least draw VIP pass. Did draw the Greninja top deck at least, and does have an energy. True. But I think already concealed cards, so I'm not sure what was grabbed off that. Yeah, already did. So, and yeah, again, this is the cross switcher Turbo Lost Box player that we saw a couple rounds ago. So,
cross switcher is an interesting inclusion, but
do you think it matters much for this matchup?
Really helps. I don't think it does unless you were to play something spicy like Thundurus or or Luxray, like some other baby lightning attacker. That way you can kind of get maximum cross switcher value using those guys to knock out Lumineon or Squawk or Lugia whenever you want. In that case, I think the extra Gus can matter, but aside from that, I don't think it really makes a huge difference. We see Nestball probably grabbing Comfey, could potentially grab a V and Steelstone for VIP pass. That's an option as well.
Yeah, I believe that was a Nestball for the Raikou. And Head does have the Sealstone ready to go. Hopefully to get into the game a little bit more. So yeah, we're probably not seeing a turn 1 Raikou Lugia KO here at this rate.
Downside of the Spiritomb, shuts off your own fleet-footed.
That's true. Another issue with it. That is the only ability it shuts down in your entire deck.
Will it matter? Probably not this turn, but it could matter in theory.
Battle VIP, the target of the Sealstone Star Alchemy. So we can only use it once per turn, but that's a free card. So and that is a pretty good card to get, especially on turn 1. Need those Comfeys so badly. And just try to get anything cooking here.
Arthur is pretty far away from attacking with anything.
Right.
Even Cram Attack feels pretty bad into any of these Pokemon here.
Yeah, it is better than nothing, I guess, but... And you can cross-switch into any target you want if you did want the Snorlax, I guess, but... Flower Selecting's finally coming down here for Arthur. Lost Vacuum can be pretty nice here, but still not going to be enough to get into the 7/Mirage Gate, so just going to throw that away.
Yeah, you would need another Comfey.
Oh, it does already have a Lost Vacuum in hand, so...
Okay.
That doesn't matter too much then.
Could potentially get there with a double Vacuum. Maybe that was the play, to be honest.
Yeah, double Vacuum could get there but you still have to draw into the gate.
Does he not have gate in hand?
Oh, no, yeah, there is a
one.
gate.
So maybe double Vacuum was the best
there's a
play
gate
here.
Right?
Yeah. I think I saw a gate as well.
Yeah, you just Sealstone and Beach Court and you're good to go.
Now, Arthur with the Cram Prize, what can he do? I mean, it would feel bad like burning that many resources with 2 Vacuums, but I mean, one of them would have been Cologne. So I think whatever he did grab instead of the Vacuum, the Psychic Energy, I think that must have been a mistake.
Yeah, I didn't see what it was. That's unfortunate. So, although, yeah, because you have Cross Switcher, so you could have had to switch worst case with that. So.
Yeah, you'd be at 5. You'd be at 3 after this Comfey. You'd have Beach Court. You would retreat, vacuum away the Beach Court, vacuum away the Sealstone Gate. You would have it.
I do think the Beach Court might have been after the Lost Vacuum decision. That might have been off of Flower. The first one,
gotcha.
Maybe.
Okay.
That might be why. I don't remember seeing that stadium early.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense. You don't know for sure that the second Vacuum is going to get you value. So it's not a huge misplay. It just ended up being incorrect based off what we've seen. But maybe there's an argument to not attacking this turn, just holding on to that resource with the Psychic Energy.
For sure.
So you can retreat a Comfey. So that makes a lot of sense. Patrik does get that Summoning Star off with the last Lugia V-Star in the deck. That Lugia V-Star shining through with that gold foil. blinged out to the max.
Jeez, there's a lot of energies in this deck. Some of them we haven't really seen because we only saw the Lugia single strike match before. One of which is the therapeutic energy, which not played yet, but very useful with these Snorlaxes. It only provides a normal colorless energy, but that's all Snorlax cares about, and it also prevents asleep, confused, paralysis. Any of those special conditions can't happen, and that's pretty good with Snorlax because Snorlax has the Thumping Snore attack, which is brutal and just one-shots things. Speaking of one-shots, Patrik getting the boss there, getting the one-shot on the Raikou. But yeah, with therapeutic energy attached to your Snorlax, the downside of the attack is completely neutralized. You just don't fall asleep. So very powerful in this deck, very useful. And it looks like we're getting a Super Rod to get that Raikou back into play.
Spiritomb definitely matters in this matchup. Definitely the right play to get it out as soon as possible, but it does feel bad when your Spiritomb doesn't do anything. Like it's not doing.
When they just draw on the boss anyway, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, they draw on the boss. They got Ultra Ball, double Archeops turn 1. Thanks to that Messagoza heads. In that case, Spiritomb almost feels worse because it's just eating a bench spot, not doing anything, preventing your opponent from playing down liabilities on the board. The situation is looking dire. I think Spiritomb kind of needed to put in some work here for Arthur. Can get the response KO with Raikou, but like after that, what's the plan? I mean,
it just gets KO'd again, and now the prize trade is accelerated like crazy.
Yeah,
and then the game's just pretty dire at that point because we actually I saw this a lot happen like back in like Silver Tempest format where I think it was the first LAIC, LAIC, where like it was like Tord versus Grant playing Lost Box versus Lugia. And Grant would rod the Raikou V back into play, and Tord, like in the interview after, was like, "Yeah, I don't know, like that was great for me because I just accelerated the prize trade so much harder. Because otherwise, you're just taking one prize per turn, where they may be taking out Lugias, but you're just you're reducing the amount of turns in the game in like half, basically."
Arthur now did have to rope, so now staring down a Snorlax, which is not ideal. I think the one thing that could have helped Arthur in this situation is that Patrik did have 2 Lugia V-Star prize, so it would have been tricky to get that response KO on the Raikou, but not going to be the line that Arthur goes for. Arthur is instead going to put 90-90 on the 2 Archeops and have that be the pathway instead.
Why would you put 90 and 90 on the 2 Archeops, Vic? Please enlighten us.
Yeah, so the Archeops has 150 HP. So if you put 90 and 90 on 2 of them, that means each of them has 60 HP remaining. And of course, the star attacker of the Lost Box deck is that Save Life from Lost Origin with the Lost Mine attack. Lost Mine attack lets you put 12 damage counters anywhere. And it turns out 6 + 6 is 12. So it does set up these 2 Archeops perfectly for Lost Mine to take 2 prizes, not only getting you closer to winning the game, but also preventing your opponent from using that powerful Primal Turbo ability.
Yeah, and it's important to note too, if those Archeops come down, they're never coming back into play. You don't play the previous evolutions, and Summoning Star is a V-Star power, so it's just they're never coming back in, and you're just cutting off all their energy acceleration completely. They're reduced to just manually attaching once per turn, like everybody else has to. And if they don't set up enough attackers fast enough, that can actually be a pretty big problem. Now, because there's still another turn here, Patrik can still set up 2 Snorlaxes with both of them.
Yeah, I think just the energy denial does matter in some situations, in some games.
Yeah.
It might not matter this one at all because Snorlax is one of your best attackers in this matchup. Really annoying to get through, and there's going to be 2 of them to deal with.
Yeah, we're going to see both of them fully charged up with a double turbo and a therapeutic, and the double turbo counting for 2 energy. With the downside, though, that it does 20 less damage total. So your Thumping Snores now go down to 160, but that's fine because the only things that have more than 160 HP in Arthur's deck are 2 prizes that you're not going to one-shot anyway.
So I guess one option for Arthur is Sableye the 2 Archeops and then go into Dragonite and take 2 knockouts that way because the Snorlax can't get through a Dragonite. Maybe weave in a Cross Switcher KO somewhere in there. But being at 6 to 3 prizes, you have to find the Sableye this turn. And even at that point, it might still not be enough.
9 on the Lasso now for Arthur.
Ditto in hand are my favorite card.
Gonna be popping the Cross Switcher now. promoting the baby Lugia with no energy.
I mean, this is a way to potentially skew the prize race in your favor if you knock out both the Archeops and then your opponent has no way to retreat or switch out this Lugia V. You can kind of get tons and tons of lost mine value, and we see it. Psychic Energy onto the Sableye. It's gonna happen this turn, just barely getting there. Such a small hand, but is able to do it, is able to knock out these two Archeops, is able to make this play happen.
So yeah, again, last turn all the double turbos are attached except for one, so there's one more in the deck, and maybe pre-charging with 2 double turbos like that was like maybe not a line that was considered by Patrik here, because with the Roxanne too, it's just going to make it even harder to draw into the double turbo you need, so you might have to double attach just to get this out of there.
I think he had to make this play, because otherwise you would do the same play with a Snorlax on the bench. You have to attach energy somewhere.
Yeah, but then you only need to get any energy instead of the 1 double turbo in deck. And you would have another double turbo available in deck to draw into.
So you would attach just 1 therapeutic to 1 and leave
no, like a therapeutic and another random energy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
The Ditto coming down. Chat, are you ready to get splucked? Let me type spluck. Any splup enjoyers? So we're going to see that Sableye Lost Mine come down, take out those 2 Archeops, and then just hope that Lugia stays trapped long enough for any significant damage to take place. Now, one thing to note here is that Arthur cannot just Lost Mine to victory, even if Patrik whiffs energy for every turn, because something we're going to talk about with the Snorlax is one of the other benefits of it, how super strong it is its unfazed fat ability. Do you want to explain that, Vic?
Unfazed Fat says prevent all effects of attack from your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon. Damage is not an effect. And reading that last portion of that ability might make you think it's kind of useless, it doesn't do anything. Turns out, though, that Lost Mine doesn't do damage. It places damage counters, which is it is kind of like a lawyer type exception to the rule. But technically, damage counters in the Pokemon TCG does not count as damage. It counts as an effect. Sableye applies an effect to Snorlax. So if you choose to target down Snorlax, even on the online client, you will unfortunately find that it does 0 damage.
Yeah, very sad, very unfortunate. Let's see. Not sure what was played there. Nest Ball was played, okay. Doesn't look like anything was grabbed, just shuffling up the deck. Doesn't look like... I'm not sure what was in the hand for Patrik. We'll see in a second. No energy, just Archeops and Lumineon, so this is going to be a pass.
So Arthur here, will he choose to break the lock, or will he choose to slowly whittle down this Lugia V-Star on the bench? Those are pretty much your 2 best options.
I think you just have to at this point. The Spiritomb putting in work here, because Lumineon could have come down and potentially saved Patrik here.
Getting a research or something like that to draw some more cards, draw some more energy.
Do you just Lost Mine Lugia V-Star for 3 turns? Is that what this is?
I guess so. If you attack with Dragonites, you do go down to 2. Then your opponent responds with Snorlax, and then you knock out Snorlax. You go down to 1. Then how do you take your last one? You could set up something like a Raikou to take the last one, which might be okay, but you're kind of bench locked, so I think it might be safer to just do the Lost Mine play that Arthur is doing.
So 6 down on each makes it easy to knock out with whatever next turn, depending on whatever happens. And again, Patrik, I believe the 2 Lugia V-Stars are still prized too. So
Drapion, top deck, not what you want.
Yeah, Patrik. So here, the rough thing with this matchup is like you are forced to put down double Lugia V pretty often, because the odds of getting the Turbo Raikou thing are pretty decent. And if that happens, you just lose the game if you only have 1 Lugia. But having that extra Lugia is exactly what's losing Patrik this game.
That is true. That is true.
Very brutal.
Also, you asked me about Cross Switcher earlier on in the set, and I maybe spoke a little bit too soon that it didn't matter that much. What I forgot was that Arthur actually runs 2 copies of Roxanne to combo with that Cross Switcher. So you can get this Cross Switcher Roxanne play off more often as the Lost Box, which I think can get pretty annoying if you find yourself in a board state like this one where there's no Archeops in play.
Yeah, very powerful combo, especially when your opponent goes down to 3 prizes as fast as Patrik did, right? That was 2 attacks and it happened, and now there's a second Roxanne about to come down.
Arthur thinking about playing it. I don't think you should, because your opponent didn't play any supporters, and you know that your opponent didn't attach any energy. I think it's better to not play it.
Right.
Yeah,
because now these 2 cards might actually unbrick
here. Your opponent is at 3 cards, but you know that they're not a supporter energy, and you're giving them 2 fresh cards that could be. Unless you're digging for something here off of the Roxanne, you want to draw 6 fresh cards, but I don't think that's the case. I think Arthur had pretty much everything he needed. Let's see if this ends up punishing him.
Does have a lot of pieces in hand, so he's going to retreat and go for the Dragonite play here.
Okay, so this basically forces Arthur. Okay, this will put Arthur at 2 prizes. Patrik will hit into the Snorlax and hit into the Dragonite. Arthur will go down to 1, hit into the Dragonite again, and then Arthur will still have to find a way to knock out that last Snorlax, which it's not too difficult.
Yeah. Is there not another cross switcher available?
There might be.
I can't see the entire Lost Zone, but yeah. Mew EX actually and the Jet. Wow, that Roxanne.
But
putting in work.
You can't attack with it.
Right. But you get to restart and retreat finally.
That is true.
Research.
Nothing can knock out this Dragonite V in 1 hit.
Right, yeah, the double turbo still on that Lugia, a bit of a problem. Luxray coming down. Luxray has that swelling flash ability that allows you to put it into play without having to evolve it from anything. Just by being behind on prize cards, basically. So very useful in a lot of matchups. Can be useful in this matchup as well, just as another attacker.
Well, I think the benefit of Luxray here is that if Patrik draws into reversal energy, it is an attacker that can attack for 1 attachment. Right.
And we did get that
which
reversal.
Is pretty useful when you don't have any Archeops left.
Yeah. So retreating into the Snorlax, and we're just going to get the Snorlax smack. Now we'll see how Arthur responds.
Arthur could get Gus for game here, but is kind of far away from it. But
there it is.
Just sees all 5. So that's kind of what Arthur was lining up to do, it seems. Yep, cross switcher up the Lugia V-Star. Playing that pretty well, knowing that his deck was thin enough that he could find the Colress into the double cross switcher the next turn. Didn't need to take any risks with doing that Save Light Lost Mine play one more time.
Right.
In case Patrik drew into their last double turbo.
Cross switcher Roxanne is kind of disgusting.
It is pretty good.
Yeah. Especially when you have Spiritomb down, you just can't do anything as Lugia once that happens.
It's kind of like how Tina V-Star used to be played, except you get to play a lot of other good cards because you aren't playing Tina V-Star anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to play the bad card, Tina V-Star.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Arthur rocking the Ditto plush with the Splup Ditto
card.
Huge respect.
Splup. Why is it called Splup?
That's like the noise it makes. It's fun. Oh, it's weak to fighting too. That's fun.
I can't imagine that Ditto is actually better than like trekking shoes.
It feels so bad when it's not turn 1 though. That's the thing. Like, do you think if it could be used on any turn, it would be better?
Yes, it would be. Yeah, it would be actually pretty good, I think, because you can just bench it. It can be a Cram, it can be a Greninja, it can be whatever. No, I think it's pretty good if you could use it at any time, but you can't.
Right. It's no Ditto V, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Double mulligan. So we got a little bit longer before we get into this next game. But yeah, like, it seems like Arthur's build here is very readily handy to deal with this fairly standard colorless Lugia build, right? Like, even with the strong kind of start Patrik had, getting all the attackers he could possibly want set up. And again, like if that Lugia wasn't down and didn't get stalled, Patrik would have been fine, right?
Yeah.
So
it is interesting that if Patrik had just like more manual attachments throughout the game, or chose to not respect the Raikou V on the first turn and not bench the second Lugia, would have been a very different game.
Yeah, and that's the tricky thing is like you can't not respect it. Like it's tough because especially in that, like you just have no idea what your opponent has. Like you can be like, oh, there's a Spiritomb inactive that slightly increases the odds of them, not hitting it, but still.
I actually think you can not respect it. If they don't start comfy. If they start comfy, you absolutely have to put down another Lugia. That's
what if they start
for
Ditto?
Sure. No, it's the same. It's really comfy. So the answer stays the same. They have to start comfy or Ditto. If they start Spiritomb, I think the odds of them hitting 7 is actually quite low. So I think it's reasonable to go for that play.
Gift Energy being the attachment for turn here. It came up a little bit in Single Strike Lugia. We didn't really talk about it earlier in that other match, but pretty useful card to potentially bail you out of bad situations. Unfortunately, just wasn't relevant in the last matchup, but it does allow you to draw a bunch of cards up to 7 in your hand when the Pokemon is knocked out. So, and it's important to note that's only by damage from attack. So if you get Sableye knocked out and your Pokemon has Gift Energy, it still doesn't activate. So Comfey's flying down, Raikou in hand.
I see Sealstone as well, but no Chorus, so Sealstone will most likely have to be for Chorus.
I didn't see...
Could Nest Ball for Greninja to draw more cards, or you could save it for Cram if you're worried about getting the knockout this turn. Cram would guarantee you an attacker.
Definitely a couple options. I don't think we did see the prizes. I didn't see Cram in there. I saw 2 double turbo for Patrik. Could be relevant.
Tomb.
All the energy at the... Oh no, that was sorted. I thought they were just naturally on top.
Does Arthur want to grab Tomb, Cram, or Greninja? I think you don't grab Cram. I think Cram is a losing play.
Yeah, the Cram damage doesn't seem super relevant right now.
So I think it has to be Greninja or Tomb. Greninja would enable you to try and go for that 7 in the Lost Zone. But you are kind of far away from it.
Right.
You would need Vacuum, Third Comfy, Gate, and a Switch. And you don't have any of those, I don't think. So you have Sealstone for Chorus, and then you can try and get all those 4 pieces off Concealed and Chorus. It'll be tough. So maybe Spiritomb is the play. We're going for the Greninja. Can still get a Tomb off of Chorus, so
right. I
think this makes sense. You have the small chance of getting the knockout into the win.
Yeah, and even if you don't get the Spiritomb turn 1, you can always play it later and still neutralize some of your opponent's effectiveness. Obviously, really nice to get down here, especially in this situation, because your opponent doesn't have any Arcaps and discards, so you can prevent the Professor Burnett Luminion play with it active. But yeah, looking like Sealstone Raikou coming down now.
Probably just for Chorus. That way you get an attack off, and you have more chances to see outs to Spiritomb.
Yep. Yeah, and we saw last game, even without Spiritomb breaking Patrik, it still didn't really stop anything. So, and Arthur still did fine without it. So we'll see what happens here. Here comes the Colress. Spiritomb's going to be in these 5 cards. Oh, I was close.
There's a Nest Ball.
Wait, is that there? I think it is.
I saw Comfy, I think, but maybe there's both.
There's both.
You got it right.
Woo! And an S-Ball, too. Just grab everything.
Insane caster.
So Spiritomb going to come down for sure now. And then we'll see what that last slot goes for. Can Cram, can put down the other Comfey. So I don't think there's a Gate in hand anyway, and no Vacuum. So yeah, there's no way you're getting the Raikou stuff here. You need the rope too. Not ideal. So you're just going to prefer the Comfey over the extra Cramorant. or the extra cram damage. It's Colorless and something else.
That unfazed fat ability we mentioned before makes it so that doing 110 to a Snorlax feels so bad.
Yeah.
So I can see the reasoning behind Arthur benching that third Comfey, just getting more in the Lost Zone, preparing for the next turn, preparing to do that Greninja 90-90 play that we saw last game.
Right. Even with Rope to bring the Lugia back up and cram attacking it, like you could that 110 is irrelevant if you are just gonna Raikou KO it anyway, right? So not something you really care about pretty much ever. So I don't know, coming down for Patrik.
Patrik looking for the God Hand, the 2 Archeops Ultra Ball.
Ooh, can't play the Mesagoza because just played the Collapse Stadium. You can only play 1 stadium per turn. Very unfortunate that that Iono played basically just to kind of slow down Arthur a little bit, just to play a stadium can potentially prevent something here, but I don't think we're going to get double Archeops regardless.
Patrik is close to being able to attack just from manual attachments, but not quite there yet. Has the double turbo in hand, but already attached for turn this turn.
Once again, another Lugia V coming down, which is not really what you want to do, but has to be done because you're just not getting the Summoning Star off this turn.
Not only that, the Ultra Ball has been used. So even if Patrik is able to Mesagoza or top deck some Archeops, no way to discard them easily, no way to find the Lugia V-Star afterwards. So it's looking pretty dire. Arthur off to a great start.
Yeah, this is even Patrik, even getting to go first, just not able to get anything worthwhile with that first turn. Unfortunately, just did not get the double Archeops Ultra Ball this game. If they got that this game, it would be so fine. Everything would be chill, but can't happen every game.
Spiritomb definitely changing the complexion of this matchup.
For sure.
Don't need to deal with 3 Snorlaxes if Archeops never comes into play.
Super Rod going to the Lost Zone. See what Arthur decides to do here. Rope pretty
Arthur
good.
Yeah, Rope, Gate doesn't
no
quite
Rope
have
in hand,
it yet.
no Gate in hand
I
either.
don't see a Gate.
It's going to switch card into another Comfey, Flower Selecting.
We know Iono put Cram to the bottom of the deck, so we can't attack with that either. And I have played one of these games in testing before where Lugia just starts swinging at you with the Snorlax with no Archeops on bench, and it can be kind of concerning.
Yeah, Patrik will get to attack with Snorlax next turn if it doesn't die, because there is a double turbo in hand, so even without Archeops, it's still kind of a little scary.
The Cram damage would have
That's
mattered,
be a pass.
would have helped. But here we are with the fresh Snorlax. It's just going to start swinging.
Yeah. I mean, what do you even do with what do you Mesagoza for here?
Lugia V-Star, and you hope you top deck Burnett, maybe?
I guess so.
Or you can Mesagoza for Archeops and hope you top deck Research. That's also an option.
Gonna be a Tails, so... Or no, those ads.
We hate clear die. Ban clear die.
These are like the clearest die I've ever seen. Like, I've never seen a die where, like, from this angle you can see the other side clearer than the top side.
It does look very much like a 1.
Oh, what if you grab... Yeah, we grab Mew EX for restart here. It's very interesting. So,
yeah, that
hand
seems
down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're... I mean, you don't have bench spot for anything else, so you can't really bench the Drapion, or else you're committing yourself to playing only 1 Archeops.
Right, so you're just drawing 1 card with the restart then, I believe? For 1 card, yep. Again, that restart ability from the Mew EX allows you to draw...
V-Star, I think.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a start.
Allows you to draw once per turn until you have 3 cards in your hand, so it was only able to draw 1 card there, but a very nice little bonus to the Mew EX that doesn't... It's not really like its primary purpose, but it is a nice side benefit. Its primary purpose is this genome hacking attack.
You do get to do it every turn, which is a benefit of grabbing it off of that. Slowly but surely, Patrik will start to see more and more cards.
And Patrik not evolving one of the Lugias there, because they're aware they're not going to get that card out of their hand anytime soon, and if one of the Lugias does get cross-switch Raikou'd, then you'd still at least have the Lugia for the next turn. But it's basically just banking on, like, needs to top deck Burnett. Like, it's so dire right now.
You could top deck Research into double Archeops Ultra Ball or something like that. It's possible. I mean, even one Archeops would be better than 0 at this point.
Yeah, literally anything at this point would be pretty massive.
Still in the game though, not what you'd expect from a Lugia that hasn't summoning started yet. But given that Arthur whiffed the Mirage Gate last turn,
yeah, maybe should have gone for the Cramorant damage turn 1. I don't know.
We see the Cologne in Arthur's hand, not for this matchup at all. But
hey, there you go. Cologne Snorlax to KO it with Sableye.
Okay, well, you can Cologne the active Snorlax. That is true, but
yeah, and you have cross switchers, so that makes it an option to Cramorant attack. It's not the end of the world if you do that, though.
What are you doing with the other 70 damage? Where is that going?
3-on-3 on Lugia, so there you go. Oh no, you put 6 on the Mew EX.
I guess.
But here's the play that Patrik was worried about that was going to come down. It is finally happening. The Raikou cross switch into the Lugia V KO. So now Patrik can evolve the other Lugia into a V-Star. Does top deck Archeops, does have Aroma. Unfortunately, can't really thin down the hand here, though, unfortunately.
Can evolve the Lugia V-Star, can attach, but then you're still down to 3.
Fails the Mesagoza. And capturing Aroma now.
Spiritomb putting in so much work yet again.
Yeah. Yeah, normally here you grab Lumineon, you rock and roll. Unfortunately, you just can't do anything with it. This deck just seems to crumble completely to the Spiritomb, this one little 60 HP card.
I wouldn't say crumbles completely just yet, but maybe.
In this matchup, yes. Well, in this specific game, I mean.
Yeah.
It is crumbling quite hard, but that's also just really unfortunate draws for Patrik, not getting any of the draw supporters early on.
That's true. Wordnear has that Frontier Road ability. Unfortunately, that is also going to get shut down by Spiritomb.
He's able to thin out enough to draw one card. I didn't see what it is.
One card.
Boss.
Can Boss knock out Spiritomb? But there's no Lumineon in hand, so it doesn't end up.
And you know
probably
that
better than
just not lasting.
I guess Boss Tomb is probably better than just hitting into Raikou for 180.
Right.
Because you can still, there you go. You can still top deck the Lumineon, and it allows like Mesagoza heads to be an out to playing the game and stuff like that. So
right. So even on prizes, Arthur's turn now. Spiritomb gone, but could just come back super easily with Super Rod. But we are seeing 2 rods already gone in the loss.
This is where cross switchers could do massive work. If Arthur can cross switcher and knock out the Lugia V-Star, that should like lock up the game.
Right. Yeah.
Arthur though doesn't think he can do it, so brings up the Raikou instead.
Oh, one cross switcher is prize or zone. So
okay.
No cross switchers for the rest of the game.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Could barely see it. And they're also like not in English.
So no more cross switchers left.
There's the last rod. There's the Spiritomb coming back. This is so sad. Gonna Mesagoza, maybe get the tomb off that. And gets
Mesagoza, you turned against me. How could you?
Research in hand. So if the Mesagoza stays in play, gets an Archeops off that, we can.
Okay.
Patrik can finally play.
We're cooking. Does Arthur bump the Goza?
Seal cards coming down. Can't play that Roxanne yet. And it's just going to KO the Snorlax. Alright, this is a pretty huge mess to go as a flip here if this top deck doesn't work out. Live by the flip, die by the flip. Let's see it.
This is some real Lugia moments. Some real Lugia hours.
I think Patrick should... Okay, yeah, they're going to do it. I thought they were just going to research Raw. And gets it.
Ooh, there is it. We're going to see... We're going to see the game being played.
Patrick finally gets to play the game 5 turns in. No big deal.
And is still in it.
Yeah, not again. That Snorlax put in so much work and was able to carry pretty hard there.
Patrik could still definitely lose. That Mew EX a liability, of course.
That's also 3 rods down, right? So
oh,
this Raikou might not come back.
So I think we're gonna see Summoning Star come through, Lugia V-Star coming in, swinging with that Tempest Dive, knocking out that Raikou V. But what does Arthur respond with? That will be key. We might see that double Archeops knockout again. We might see Raikou come back. I think there's 1 rod in hand left.
Right.
So
it should be. Is it in hand?
Yeah, I think I saw a rod in hand. At least
yeah, there's 1 rod of it. So
yeah,
there is a response.
But if you do take the knockout with Raikou and go down to 1 prize, like what is your last prize? There's not any easy ones to take, especially with your Gust being down.
Right.
Really annoying board state to deal with. Oh, that wasn't in the hand.
Oh, there's all the other Archeops. All right, the second Primal Turbo coming down. Let's see what's grabbed here. Probably just charging up the other Snorlax. Is there, like, I don't know. Yeah, Mew EX is only going to be relevant when the Dragonite V comes down, right?
Yeah, especially because Manaphy is on the bench for Arthur. Otherwise, you could boss up Greninja, do that Moonlight Shuriken play. Oh, but instead of taking a knockout with Lugia V-Star, actually thinking about taking a knockout with just the Mew, using that Lightning Rondo.
I like that a lot, because this Lugia is just not going to get hit at all with no cross switchers available. So now that option is just not available. Now again, Dragonite V is this concern. Oh no, okay, just going to retreat. Okay.
Retreat, keep the Mew alive for Dragonite V potentially.
Right, but I mean, yeah, I guess you have to do that, because like if you lose the Mew there, like what do you do against Dragonite, right?
Yeah.
It's also unfortunate that Spiritomb coming back in also cut off any like weirder potential options. Not that they were probably going to happen, but it was still a potential play. And now it's just
now
going to be dead there.
Arthur is too far behind. I don't see a way for Arthur to really win this one. I guess it would be something like Raikou knockout Lugia rope knockout with Raikou again. You don't have Gust, but you do have rope access.
Yeah, you have to. Okay, this is gonna be a scoop. Yeah. It's too tight. You had to like
taking 2 prizes can easily be done, but taking that very last one,
right?
You're just so low on resources, and there's so much health to deal with that Sableye can't do anything. You only have 1 rod left. It's tough.
Yeah, and everything that can take that 2 prize knockout is also a 2 prizer. So then you just auto lose the game. Arthur, unfortunately, like Patrik again, like such a rough start, and just not being able to get the Summoning Star out for so long. But because they were able to get that Snorlax charged up basically immediately, we're still able to make up for it. Because as long as you're taking prizes, those turns aren't a complete wash. And zoning that 1 cross switcher also cost Arthur a lot.
Yes, Arthur zoned a cross switcher and whiffed a turn when he wanted to attack with Raikou, which made a big difference. And also chose to not attack with Cram, and I think that let the Snorlax stick for a little bit too long. I wouldn't say not attacking with Cram is necessarily a mistake, because obviously doing 110 to a Snorlax feels really bad.
Yeah.
But the way the game played out, it would have helped.
For sure. It's hard to know that that's going to happen, but because normally you're just like, oh yeah, they're not getting this the Archeops out. I'm doing great. Everything's fine. Yeah. But that Snorlax just put in so much work unchecked for so long.
Now
going
we have
into the last game now.
An exciting 1-1 game.
Yeah,
Burnett is prized.
Game 3. And it doesn't matter.
Okay, well, it might not matter, but I will say, out of all the single prize cards to prize in this Lugia deck, Burnett is probably the worst one to prize.
Oh, for sure. It's also a card that has not been played once yet, and instantly zoning a cross switcher.
Working with one Gust yet again this game.
Yep. Very bold, but I believe that's for the Artisan, which might be their only out to Pokemon. Yeah, for any Pokemon here. So looks like they're gonna do that.
Gonna grab the Spiritomb.
Might be. Probably Greninja, maybe. No, they can't grab Greninja off Artisan. I forgot. I thought it was a nest ball.
Yeah. If I'm bricking, so will you. Grab Spiritomb. That's what I would do at least.
What did Patrik start with? What is in the active?
Comfey. And I think flower selecting had already happened.
For Patrik.
Oh, Patrik. I'm not sure.
No, you grab Ditto here because otherwise it's a terrible card, so you have to grab it now to get your value out of it, right?
So if you grab Ditto and you retreat into it, does it become a Comfey or a Spiritomb?
I think you go Spiritomb, yeah.
Well, in that case, you might as well just grab a Spiritomb if you don't just switch into it.
And you got to thin out your deck. It's very important.
You got to splup.
Yeah, this Ditto has not been doing much any of these games we've seen. And there it is.
There it is. There's a Ditto. Gonna read it.
Gonna read Splup out loud.
It's probably like I'm about to get splupped. Okay, so here is the risky play, the greedy play, but could get rewarded. If Arthur sees something like a VIP pass off this flower selecting, would be massive. I believe there's a Forest Seal Stone in hand, so Arthur could see a potential number of cards.
Yeah.
VIP pass, Nest Ball, V Pokemon, Greninja, all of those could potentially get him to a Spiritomb. Of course, the Spiritomb itself would work, but I think you really do want to find it.
All right, there's the flower selecting. This is huge. Water and Cram, unfortunate. Ooh. So no Spiritomb. Locking down Patrik this turn. Maybe it won't matter. We'll see. Again, no Burnett available, so...
Yeah, thankfully Arthur might not get punished for it because Burnett's in the prize cards. It's kind of like a pseudo-Spiritomb, if you will. Have you seen the Lugia decks that showed up online that played like 4 Burnett?
I hit one at Peoria.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it consistent?
Yeah, I lost. No, because yeah, they just kept drawing into the Burnett raw, and I was like, cool. It's like, this is normal.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was great.
So we see
what card was
Artisan, I think.
You can only grab Snorlax with it, but pretty good card to grab.
Yeah, you want Snorlax, you can attach to it. Start attacking with the next turn. Don't even need the Archeops. Just set up some of those Snorlaxes. We got a message in chat. Ditto does not have to be your starter mon for the build. Yes, it does not have to be your starter, but it does have to be in the active. So you do need to switch into it. It's debatable if it's any better than Trekking Shoes. I think if you run Pokestop, Trekking Shoes is almost definitely better. But since Arthur doesn't run Pokestop, maybe I could see an argument for Ditto.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's no Pokestop even with the cross switchers. That's wild.
Yeah, I think I would like to see Pokestop, and then, but maybe Arthur only plays like 2 Nest Balls or something, and that's why.
Think about Ultra Balling Iono and Boss is going to do that. Can you grab Luminion here? Or no, we have to grab the Lugia. Yep.
Interesting.
There might be another supporter in hand then.
What will be a supporter for turn? Is it a research?
Probably research.
We see the shuffling, so that means Lumineon not going to come down.
That was just another Iono in hand. Okay. That works out nicely because now you don't have to get rid of this Luxray and Reversal as a potential option for later. Might work out for Arthur because I don't think Arthur had like Colress in hand.
I feel like I would have just discarded the Luxray and the Reversal, to be honest, and keep it the worst. But I think there's an argument for both.
Yeah, I feel like losing boss. I feel like you should, probably shouldn't Ultra Ball the boss in case once that Spiritomb does come down, you might need to just draw into the boss at a certain time, right?
Yeah, and Iono is also good against Lost Box.
True. Any just draw supporter once the Spiritomb comes down is a welcome sight.
So we see 1 Archeops and Research in the hand for Patrik, which is not bad. Obviously, you would rather Summoning Star for 2 2 Archeops, but you can play the game if you do that. And if Arthur is still off to a slow start, it can make the difference.
All right. Still 19 minutes remaining in this match, so with the extra turns, should have a good chance of finishing. Lugia plays very fast, so not too big of a deal. Zoning the extra Seal Stone. Didn't see what it was grabbed off this Iono. We'll see in a second. Another Flower Selecting coming down. There's a Spiritomb, so that's finally available. And yeah, the Spiritomb turn 1 didn't end up mattering, so there you go.
Arthur making the right play. In hindsight.
There's a Colress.
So what is the attack this turn?
Once again, Snorlax in the active. I think there's 1 Cross Switcher in hand. So it needs another one if you want to do a Lugia KO.
Dragonite doesn't feel good because it gets responded to by Mew. Raikou doesn't feel good because it gets responded to by Lugia. Cram doesn't feel good because it's cram into a Snorlax. You have to go find your cologne later on in the game. Man, I don't know. You can Greninja, but there's no Archeops in play yet, so you don't really want to do that.
There's Raikou. There's another Cross Switcher. There comes down the Raikou. That's 7 Lost Zone. Gate coming down. There's a Seal Stone, so there's Gate. Cross Switcher Lugia time? Oh, that's Lone Lugia. Oh.
Yeah, that's it.
That's really good.
I mean, I think that pretty much wins the game. Not automatically, but almost automatically.
Yeah, again, we saw last game, right? Like, Patrik whiffed for a lot of turns and still was fine, but this is different because even with another Lugia coming down, that Snorlax is not KOing the Raikou. The difference with last game was that the Raikou just couldn't get established for all the turns that Patrik was locked up, so the Snorlax just kind of ran free. But that's not going to happen here, so... Oh yeah, and if Arthur doesn't bench another card, then you can't even Mew respond to this, but it doesn't matter because you don't have the Archeops down, so...
Yeah. Such a powerful start from Arthur. Now can even bench the Spiritomb to rub salt in the wound.
Canceling clone, huge, coming down.
Clone.
Yeah, smartly delaying the Spiritomb too in case the Fleet-footed did pop off there, so now can't Fleet-foot it anymore.
Patrik, I think, seeing the writing on the wall.
Research coming down. Getting rid of a Jet Energy. That's another energy we didn't really talk about. Basically, when you play it, it forces up the Pokemon you attach it to into the active spot if they're not already. It just counts as colorless energy. Just a nice little extra pivot card. Really useful in a lot of decks. Nest Ball coming down. Now, the good news is that other Lugia is not getting gusted. So, you know that's safe at least. Unfortunately, I don't know if Patrik... What do you even do? Like, if you draw into the double turbo, I guess you still attack. And you have the Luxray, which is nice. But you don't have it in hand.
One problem is that Patrik kind of had to bench Lugia this turn. But that does mean that Lightning Rondos does a perfect 160 now. Which does knock out Snorlax. So maybe there was an argument to try and just find TTE attack with Snorlax and don't bench anything else. Then hopefully your opponent doesn't rope you and get value into your Mew EX. But I mean, everything is kind of losing at this point. The board state is so strong for Arthur.
Dude, see, that would have been another scenario where canceling clone would have mattered. Because if that wasn't benched and double turbo Snorlax, it would have not killed it. And then you can clean it up with Sableye. very easily. Shouldn't have played it. Huge
misplay. Out of 100 games against Colorless Lugia, I wonder how many times that clone comes up.
Probably one.
Probably, I would say at least one, but definitely less than 5.
I think it just depends on how often you're Cramorant attacking into a Snorlax.
So we see that thumping snore for 160, not enough to knock out a Raikou. Arthur probably just gonna respond with the KO. You could rope here and guarantee a 2-prize knockout, but you have to deal with the Snorlax eventually, so might as well do it now.
Right. So now, could see some Summoning Star action potentially. Patrik might just be forced to pop this Iono here and hope for the best. Artisan first. Can grab another Snorlax. Might not be one available.
The game is not unwinnable.
Yeah. Iono what's the game plan?
Knock out Raikou, Iono to garbage cards, and then you just keep Ionoing them to garbage cards over and over again. That's pretty much it, I think. I don't see anything else.
Messagoza. Looks like it was a heads. And that's looking like the Lugia V-Star. Oh no, we're in the Archeops. It's an Ultra Ball, yep. Is that the second Archeops in there, or the first?
I believe it's the second, but I'm not 100% sure.
I don't remember the previous turn.
Your opponent does have a Sableye charged up, but there is not 10 in the Lost Zone, so a really lucky Iono could potentially matter here.
Right. You start with a restart for 2 cards. Gets Collapsed and Archeops. And is going to play the Iono. And just pray. Looks like there's still a decent amount of cards in deck too for Arthur. Didn't out super hard. Archeops come down with that Summoning Star ability, so Patrik is now online. Did not see what the Iono cards were for Arthur.
I believe I saw 2 energy in there.
Okay.
Archeops, maybe a boss. Arthur can't make any more tricky plays, can't cross-switch her stuff to stall it, can't cross-switch her stuff to take 2-prize knockouts when Patrik isn't expecting it. Just going to have to rely on hitting the active. Has plenty of time to do it, so still very heavily favored, even off Iono to 3. Kind of just needs this Raikou to come back online at some point in the game. But the timer is ticking. The prize clock has started. Arthur does need to find something. Not this turn necessarily, but eventually.
Lugia V-Star Tempest diving and discarding Patrik's own stadium. Raikou down, and let's see what Arthur can cook up here.
We see a Greninja in hand.
Rope coming down. Some more Flower Selecting's coming. I'm going to assume the Sableye does come online this turn then.
Yeah, I think that makes the game a lot easier for Arthur. As long as he can get any attack off.
Right.
I think he's chilling.
What are you Sableyeing here? What are you lost mining?
I think you go for Mew EX and Archeops. I think those are your last 3 prizes. Unless you find yourself, if you think you can Raikou at some point in the game to take 2, then Lugia could be your 2.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely at least one Archeops needs to be part of that equation.
Here comes the Mirage Gate. Looks like we're going to get the Greninja play then?
Greninja could come down, put 90 on Mew EX, 90 on Archeops, I think makes the most sense. But no, I think Arthur is short energy, so just going to start setting that up instead of attacking with it necessarily this turn.
How many gates are still available? Still 2? I'm not sure if another one came down earlier. But in general, Arthur should still have like pretty good resource count because of just how slow like the Lost Zone has been like piling up. And there's still a lot of cards in deck, so yeah, we're seeing the 6/6 from Arthur's Sableye onto the 2 Archeops, and we saw how that works out the previous games, where Greninja will just clean them up later, and then Arthur still has to take one more prize after that, though.
Yeah, I think I prefer putting damage somewhere else, like Mew, because if you rating Greninja the 2 Archeops, you need 2 more attacks, unless you like Raikou, knock out a Lugia. But if you do 60/60 to Archeops and Mew, you can do it in 1 less attack, even without going through Raikou, or without going through Lugia with Raikou. So
yeah, and Patrik still needs 4 prizes, so if you're not benching a 2 prize, you got plenty of time.
The benefit of this play, I guess, is if they collapse an Archeops, but I mean the other play also, I guess.
Oh, right, because it could just collapse like the Mew, right?
Yeah, you would collapse Mew, but you're kind of in the same position still.
Right. Luxray's Swelling Flash, letting it be played right now. Gonna throw a not Ultra Ball, get rid of Weirdeer and another Archeops. Just gonna grab another Archeops. Nothing really necessary to grab here. Luminion's unfortunately just not gonna do anything. And we got 7 minutes remaining in this match, so this
should finish.
Should still finish with the extra turns.
Yeah.
Yeah, no more gusting for Arthur, so
Patrik really would want another Iono this turn, but I don't think it's happening.
Yeah.
Patrik did choose to keep this Luxray around over those supporters, the Iono and the boss. Will it matter? Will it make the difference?
We'll see. Did attach the reversal to it, and it is active this turn, so Patrik does want to use it. Now's the time. But still has time because like Arthur's going to take more prizes next turn regardless. So, although like yeah, if the Greninja play goes off this turn, better hope that you do have the 4th gate ready to go because that's another gate you're spending, and that's already 3 gates down. Might be kind of tight to get the Raikou off later.
Research means that Patrik has a higher chance of drawing into Iono for the next turn, which could be massive. We see a Luminion, but no Iono, and Luminion can't quite get there thanks to that Spiritomb. So Arthur now.
Let's see, 3 Ionos like the normal count for these lists, and we already saw 2 gone, so there's only 1 remaining.
Yeah. It's coming down to the wire. Patrik holding on by a thread.
Looks like we're going to see another Ultra Ball, the fully blinged out Ultra Ball for a blinged out Nest Ball and a blinged out Luminion for the blinged out Drapion V. Again, just thinning out the deck even more thoroughly so you can draw into this other Iono. But it looks like Arthur might just Roxanne next turn anyway. Saw the Jet Energy get attached to the Mew EX, so it's in the active now, can free retreat, and is going to just go back into the Lugia. No Luxray potentially this turn.
Thinking about it.
He's going to go with the Luxray. Fun. So Luxray's attack has one downside, that it does 20 damage to itself. 20 damage, however, is not really relevant. If it did 30, it might be relevant, but 20 is awkward because now it's still at 130 HP, so it can't Sableye it. And it can kind of just wreak havoc for a little bit here without putting anything scarier in harm's way.
I will say that it can attack again. If it attacks again, that's really bad.
Yeah.
Because if it attacks again, puts 2 more damage counters on itself, that puts Arthur on... gives Arthur a way to take the game in 2 turns.
Right.
1 turn to knock out an Archeops, 1 turn to knock out a Luxray.
Now there is no Cramorant, so that easy option is also gone now. Once it does go down to 110, but yeah, Sableye still cleans it up easily. But it is slightly hard to get a Sableye play off. We're seeing 2 rods in hands. No gates still, it looks like. There's a Colorless.
Oh, but we're missing attack this turn, I think.
Oh, that's brutal. So
there's no way to attack.
Did Chorus? No, you can still Chorus, right? Yeah. Or was that Roxanne?
We played Roxanne.
Oh my gosh,
already.
that was Roxanne. That's brutal. Yeah, no energy.
Go in, Ditto. Splup them. Can't even do Splup. What a
so
shame.
Sad. I want to see someone Splup for game. It's gonna happen at some point.
Arthur's deck is built to facilitate that Roxanne cross-switcher game plan. It plays 2 Roxanne, 4 cross-switcher, obviously. But what that means is that Arthur isn't playing Clara, which is one of the best ways to recharge that Sableye, to get a Lost Mine back-to-back going in the late game when you are just drawing not that many cards and your deck is thin. And we're seeing that make a difference here. Arthur can go down to 1 prize next turn off of a gate, but from there, what do? You have to find a V again and gate again, and I don't even know if there's that many gates left. I think maybe there's only 1.
Right. Yeah, very. Yeah, we can't see the full Lost Zone. There has to be 2 gates left, otherwise, like, I don't think you would go for what Arthur did the previous turn. You kind of have to. You have to know you have 2 gates left, otherwise you can't go for that play, because just how else do you win, right? So, again, there's a little bit of time here at least, because Patrik still has to make up for those lost turns. So, again, get Greninja off next turn, and then if Patrik attacks with this Luxray, then you have hope.
Patrik really needs to not attack with Luxray.
Yeah. Patrik can't attack now because Reversal's inactive.
True, you're right. So
he
has to retreat. Forced to make the optimal play.
Yeah, totally fine there.
Patrik counting cross switchers, counting Mirage
did you
Gates,
see
counting
Mirage
Super Rods. I did not. I did not look for it though, so I might have missed it.
Either. All right, Luxray is done forever. We're removing the 1 reversal. Going to the bench. Lugia's coming back out.
Luxray. We could be seeing a game where Arthur is 10 damage short from winning it. It's looking increasingly likely by the minute. Oh, but time has been called.
Oh, wow.
So
that's
I don't
huge
know
if Arthur just gets the Greninja, right?
What? I don't know what turn we're on. I don't know when. Maybe this is turn 0. I missed when.
Okay, if this is turn 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then if it's turn 0 now, then they both go down to 1 prize at the end.
Yeah, and then you just keep going until yeah. So I think Patrik is still winning, unless Arthur is able to get something like a Raikou or a Dragonite back.
Yeah, and if this is turn 1 for Patrik, it's the same thing, right? So
yeah,
it doesn't really matter who got called for time.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think both players will go down to 1. It'll come down if Arthur has the resources in hand to kind of have a big attacker left. It can't be Sableye. It has to be. I mean, it has to be a combination of a V plus Greninja or Sableye here, I think. We're seeing collapsed. Getting rid of the Luxray. So now, yeah, it has to be a V attacker. There's no way around it.
Ugh. It has to be. This is so bad. Dragonite's the only thing that can live a Lugia, but it doesn't really.
So Arthur here could go down to 1 prize.
Chorus's experiment coming down. See what these draws are.
There is a gate. Is there Super Rod? Is there enough energy in the deck? Because I see a water in that course as well. We're coming down to these final moments. The Lost Fox deck.
It's fighting for dear life to go to the finals. Yeah.
Yeah, it runs great in the beginning, but it's starting to sputter out. the car slowly rolling to a stop. Can it roll over the finish line?
Yeah, Spiritomb, we were saying like, oh, this is, slowing it down pretty hard. However, it's this Lugia is still pretty good, even with one of its main sources of power is Luminions just flying down left and right. Also, just not having those Luminions in plays as easy targets to KO for easy prizes, right? Like, not having that option is an issue as well here.
Okay, we do see a Super Rod. So the Moonlight Shuriken will come out at least, which does put Arthur into a position where he is at 1 prize. But where does the last prize come from?
Well, there are only 2 prizes remaining. So it has to just be a Raikou thing. And just hope, right?
Are there even any more gates left?
That's the thing. There has to be. There has to be one more. I can't see the deck, unfortunately.
I haven't seen one yet.
Maybe it's prize?
Could grab it off the prizes, potentially. You are going to see 2.
Gambling for. I mean, it's not really gambling. You kind of have to, so.
Okay.
There's the 2 prizes. Let's see what's grabbed.
Okay, you can do the 90 on the Mew this turn.
Okay.
You didn't need to do it the last turn. That makes a lot of sense. But maybe that means Patrik should have collapsed away this Mew instead of the Luxray.
Yeah. That is very good from Arthur to go for that option. And yeah, now what does Patrik do? You can't collapse again. Can't remove your collapse with the collapse.
I mean, if Patrik doesn't have a boss here, I guess that's it.
Yeah, and if you boss, what if the other gate comes out?
Yeah. I guess Patrik should have collapsed away the Mew.
So it actually did matter here that the turn and that time ended on Patrik, because if time ended on Arthur, he would have had to go down to 1 prize.
That play. Yeah, he wouldn't be able to do this.
Very interesting how that worked out.
So close, coming down to the final turns, the final resources. Makes a difference. Patrik looking through the discard, seeing if there's anything that he can do. But if there's no boss in hand, there's no supporter in hand, you've got no choice. Yeah, there's no supporter.
Some last minute energy.
Okay, so the last 2 cards drawn off Mew. Is there an Iono? Is there a boss?
No.
Has to be one of them, and I don't see any. I don't see either.
Capturing Aroma coming down. Gonna grab another. There's 2 bosses in there. I just didn't draw it with 5 cards in deck, and that's gonna be game. Wow.
Congratulations to Arthur. Barely pulling through.
Louise. Incredibly close set. Wow. Incredibly stressful set too.
Yeah. Patrik could have collapsed the Mew, but I guess he was also. I mean, there's still 1 gate left in deck, so you would also be worried about Dragonite in that scenario.
Right.
So I can't say for sure that he played it incorrectly. It just came down to the wire, and props to our Lost Box player for making a great play, making that work, and barely making it across that finish line.
Right, yeah, a lot of very close calls and a lot of very tough calls too. A lot of lost zones. Zoning, cross switcher, both games took out a lot of prize options that would have been available normally, but just had to be done to get into the game, and still worked out really well. So we got the finals next. We got Arthur and I believe the Mew VMAX advanced. The Fusion Mew VMAX advanced. So that'll be the next match we're gonna cast. We're gonna take another short break. We'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere, and we'll see you in just a little bit.